The conclusion of the CYBORG COP trilogy. How does CYBORG COP 3 hold up against CYBORG COP 1 and 2? What are some cool behind the scenes stories, if there are any? What happened to David Bradley? Could this stuff have been included in the first video? Yeah, probably. But God only knows when and what the fuck my next video will ever be on, so it might as well be a two-parter. CYBORG COP 1 was a tale of brotherly love and revenge. CYBORG COP 2, a tale of machines attempting to overthrow mankind. CYBORG COP 3 is a movie. I'm gonna be honest, CYBORG COP 3 kind of stinks as far as being a CYBORG COP movie. I feel like it was probably more than likely meant to be something else and had cyborg stuff injected into it about halfway through, because the biggest brunt of the film is these two supposed US Marshals that go after tax evaders and shit. There's this subplot quite later on that's introduced about some company called Delta Tech that's using would-be athletes as cyborg candidates, and there's this news anchor that's given a hot tip about it for a story. What we get from that is like one cyborg dude, maybe three others with rapid healing, likely an excuse for never seeing any real robo parts or anything like in the previous films, with a lot more time spent with the US Marshal dudes being shirtless, catching deadbeats, and day drinking. None of which there's really anything wrong with, but this definitely isn't a CYBORG COP film. Sure, this guy kinda looks like David Bradley, but he definitely isn't David Bradley. So I said this is a shitty CYBORG COP film, which I think is fair, but is it a bad action film?
Now what exactly seems to be the problem?
Max, don't show off.
I'm not. Don't do it.
Hell no, this is still a really fun flick. B-movie action regulars Frank Zagarino and Brian Ganese play U.S. Marshal debt collector dudes Max and Saint. Max is the hot-tempered good old boy that loves beer and eating Twinkies, and Saint is the cool, calm, and collected badass of few words and fewer shirts. Frank Zagarino is probably most well known for being the android villain in the Project Shadow Chaser movies and voiceover work for Command & Conquer. But I bet you might have seen him in a ton of other stuff. Besides being a Project Shadow Chaser, he was also Project Eliminator, a Blood Warrior, and a Revenger. He also plays an assassin and fights Daniel Paco Querac Green in Enzo Castellari's Hammerhead, a movie I am long overdue for a video on.
What about the big blonde? The one who killed Greg?
He's an outsider. They bring him in for the final solution.
Brian Ganese is no slouch himself, is also in lots of direct-to-video, high-energy action movies. Played the good guy in Project Shadow Chaser 2, was a human time bomb, a terminal virus, and a guardian, and was a regular on Bold and the Beautiful from 1985 to 2009 as Rocco Carner. Brian and Frank have also even directed a few of their movies. Brian has a directing credit for Bad Guys, and Frank directed Fist Fighter 2, Never Look Back, and Spiker. Now, if I'm being honest, I've never seen Bad Guys, or Bad Guys in Hell as it's called on the website it's available on, but according to this review on IMDb from a dude claiming to have worked on the film, it was a fucking wild time. I fondly remember the director threatening to deck one of his leading actors, then later threatening to dropkick his overweight cinematographer, yelling and carousing about while the Russian mafia shined the producer's car. Yes, it was crazy, and all the stories are true about the making of this gem. I even recall an actress describing an on-screen kiss with her tough guy co-star. It's like kissing a whiskey bottle. And as Max and Saint, they have excellent chemistry. Even with the lack of actually impressive cyborgs and the music sounding like it's from fucking Mario Kart, this is still a very entertaining film with fun car chases, airplane chases, and lots of explosions with two very likable leads. I'm not kidding about the Mario Kart shit. Listen to this. CYBORG COP 3 was directed by mainly cinematographer Yossi Wine, who directed films such as Lethal Ninja, Never Say Die, and Merchant of Death. He was also the cinematographer for Cyborg Cop 1 and 2. Justin Illusion, wow, that name sounds made up as fuck, plays the main not cyborg or cyborg cop in the film. The thing is, these things were barely cyborgs, if even at all. The whole shtick for this movie was playing at the idea of creating a super soldier that could survive an atomic blast and still fight through the radiation. Like a cockroach. In fact, that's pretty much exactly it. These dudes are gene doped with cockroach DNA. Even though Cyborg Cop 2 didn't really have cyborg cops, it still had cyborgs that kind of resemble the ones in the first film, with like the robot arms and shit, and David Bradley reprises the same role, fanny pack and all. Here, we're dealing in debt-collecting dude bros and cockborgs. And to confirm that Cyborg Cop 3 absolutely was not meant to be a Cyborg Cop film, its more popular title seems to be Terminal Impact. So there you go. Now, on to the thing that motivated me to actually put this particular video together. Whatever happened to straight-to-video martial arts action star David Bradley? I really don't know. In fact, a lot of people don't, but I have some ideas, or at least an idea of what might have happened. David Bradley got his acting start in the Cedric Sunderstone directed film from Canon, American Ninja 3 Blood Hunt. American Ninja 1 and 2 starred one of Canon's biggest names, Michael Dudikoff, who decided to turn down the role because apparently he was afraid of being typecast as just another martial arts guy. Being an ex-karate champ skilled in Shotokan, Kempo, Tai Chi, and Aikido, David Bradley took to action films very naturally. He would go on to be a leading man in direct-to-video beat-em-up fare from 1989 to 1997 in very entertaining badass films like American Samurai, Blood Run, and Hard Justice, just to name a few. He also wrote the screenplay for the 1993 film Blood Warriors, which featured Frank Zagarino as the villain. With many impressive showings as a badass leading man, David Bradley's filmography very suddenly stopped after 1997, and anything about him after 97 is very hard to find. Everything from what he's up to nowadays to even pictures of him are either non-existent or clearly not actually him. Like, this is claimed to be a picture of him now, but I don't buy it. The dude would be in his mid-60s by this point, so it's not like he'd look exactly the same, but that doesn't even look like the same guy. Lauren Avedon and Michael Dudikoff have somewhat of an active online presence, and they just look like older versions of their 80s selves, and according to a quick Facebook search of David Bradley actor, you can find what might be his official Facebook, but don't quote me on that. If it isn't, this is still one of the few places you can see pictures of him from just the last couple years. And it's the same case like with Avedon and Dudikoff. He just looks like a kind of older version of his 80s self. The page features what I think may be a production still from a movie he made well after 97 called Force of Steel. There are no pictures or details about the film on IMDb or really anywhere else. I assume by the digital look of the camera footage and him looking a bit older that this is indeed from Force of Steel or another film possibly in development hell. So why is David Bradley so hard to find these days? Why are there only like 3 pictures of him from the 2010s? The biggest and most plausible theory is that he probably got sick of film politics.
We only have a few days before the media gets a hold of this. Then all hell will break loose.
Michael Dudikoff. David Bradley. Together. For the first time, American Ninja 4, The Annihilation.
Let's go all the way back to 1994, to American Ninja 4, The Annihilation. David Bradley returns, but so does Michael Dudikoff, the original American Ninja. Now, most of this is hearsay, but it's pretty believable hearsay. This is taken directly from the trivia for the film. David Bradley claims that he lobbied the producers to have his and Michael Dudikoff's characters work in tandem throughout the film, but his efforts were frustrated when Dudikoff agreed to appear only on the condition that his character would save the day on his own and clearly be shown to be the superior fighter. Now you lump that in with the fact that Dudikoff is top billed in the film, coupled with the fact that he doesn't show up until 45 minutes in, there's definitely something fishy going on here. Possibly jealousy. There's a big chance that Dudikoff was very ego-driven at that point in time and just didn't want to pass the torch, because even in a film that he isn't in the whole duration of, he needed top billing and needed to save the day so he could look stronger than Bradley. Now personally, I'd like to see David Bradley make a comeback, alongside some of the other dudes from that golden era of direct-to-video action glory. Perhaps even he and Dudikoff could bury the hatchet and give us the American Ninja 4 we were supposed to get, with them being a bad dude team-up, taking down multicolored cannon ninjas.